Okay, so I'm making this video because I just passed the NASM Certified Personal Trainers Program this morning at 8 a.m. I'm just making this video because a lot of people made videos that helped me out a lot, and it really helped me figure out kind of what to do, because there's just so much information in this whole thing, especially like looking at this book over here. There's so much information, and it's like you can get like overwhelmed and stuff. And so I was kind of lost. I was just, I had no really idea what to really focus on, like what's with this exam. So that's why I'm making this video. I figured it all out, like kind of going through other people's videos that they made, and whatever. So I just want to give you a brief rundown, kind of like what I did. I got the self-study program with the book and the online modules. It comes with like all the online stuff, like flashcards and blah blah blah. So for a while, I kept up with our emails, read this week, this chapter this week, this chapter that week, this chapter that week, and so on and so forth. I kept up with that for like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 weeks or 8 weeks or something like that. Got through, like, basically it's like, some of it's like you read 2 or 3 chapters or whatever it may be. And then as time goes on, like, things got, busy, you don't get to it, whatever. So throughout time, I eventually made it to chapter 19. And I stopped reading it because I looked at the last 2 chapters and it looked like almost like common sense stuff. You could almost figure it out. I thought it was like business stuff, and I don't know. I couldn't tell you because I didn't really open those 2 chapters, which was stupid, obviously. But they're in the book for a reason. So, 180 days ago I bought it. I made it to chapter 19. So then, about 9 days ago, I called NASM to ask a question. I don't even remember what the question was, because when I found out what I found out, it like blew my mind. I found out that you only have 180 days to take the exam. Now, some people probably are like, yeah, obviously you should know that. Like, I didn't know that. I must have missed that part or whatever. Maybe it was in chapter 19 or 20, or who knows. I'm just kidding. But I had no idea. So, and that was about 9 days ago. So I had to schedule my exam for this morning. Again, 9 days ago. And as I said, I made it through chapter 19 of the book throughout a bunch of time, like throughout 5 months and 3 weeks, obviously, right? Because 180 days. So I was like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. I have to take this exam. Like, I haven't picked up the book in a while. I didn't even make it through all the way. And like reading chapter 1, like 5 months ago, like really? And chapter 1 and 2 are like, what the whole course, the whole point of being a certified trainer, like what it's based off of, like for NASM, like it's their foundation is the OPT model. So like reading that 5.5 months ago, like I was like, oh my God. So I didn't really know what to do, so I started flipping through the book again, like trying to figure out what topics really to kind of hone in on. And then I just had an idea, like maybe I'll look up on YouTube, like if anyone's even put out video for this, and let you know, people did. I was like, oh, thank God. So I watched probably like 7 to 10 videos, and everyone was pretty much saying the same thing. Obviously, I'm gonna tell you the same thing. So I made a list of what everyone was saying, and I just kind of like came up with this list of what to study. People were talking about the domains. They kept mentioning these domains, and I was like, where are these domains? So I clicked on a bunch of, one of the tabs or whatever, and lo and behold, you have the domains. You have to click on a link, I think, in NASM in that, I think it's course outline, like one of the tabs towards the bottom, course outline. One of the tabs in there, I think it has a link that will bring you to these domains, basically. Print them out. It is basically the Bible for what you're gonna do. So I printed out the domains, and I started going through the domains, and like when I read the book initially, I never took notes. Like I didn't take notes, and like I'm not a good learner. Like all through, like I'm a respiratory therapist in a hospital. In order to get through that science program, applied science program, I had to do a lot of writing, a lot of note taking, so much note taking, and rewriting things like 100 times just to know them and picture them. And like I'm a hands-on learner, like hands-on thing, like I was never like a great student ever, right? So I knew I had like a ton of work to do. I don't know, like, all these muscles and stuff. That's not part of my job. My job is like knowing, like, basically the diaphragm and up, and like kind of, how oxygen affects your body, obviously, but like not like to the degree of like what muscles this, what muscles that. It's like, what? So I knew I had a lot of work to do. So I printed out these packets, and I started taking notes. Now, as I said, I take a lot of notes. My first one, it's extended yellow pad. My first one, I'm not even kidding you. I mean, it's full of notes and highlighter, all kind. I'm like, it's full. Like, I just didn't use the back pages because I'm using highlighter, and it would just go through. But like, I mean, there's just so much information. So I went through all that stuff, all the domains, and I took, again, there's quizzes under each domain online. So I took those quizzes, and there's like 20 questions. You can take as many as you want, as many times as you want, whatever. They just take the highest score. Not that it really matters, but like I mean, taking those quizzes definitely help because you get exposed to questions. Which brings me to the point of, I don't want to forget to say this, is like, questions that you're so used to seeing, like you see these, you get used to them, you know, seeing it being said a certain way or asked a certain way. They mix it all up on the exam. They like mix up the question. It just like scrambles your brain. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, but really, the foundation of the question is still in there, but it's just all jumbled up. Like I said, you get used to these exams and these questions and how you answer them or how they're being asked or whatever, and it's just like completely different in the exam room. Whatever though. So, I went through and took all my notes and just studied them a lot. But I'm gonna give you the list because I just came home a couple hours ago and I just made this list. I had lunch first and then I just made this list of things to really focus on. You have to focus on these things because these things are all over the exam. It's pasted all over the exam. If you don't know these things, I mean, if you pass without knowing these things, like, I don't know, comment, I guess, or something. I don't even know. I don't care. Good for you, actually. But anyway, these things are important. If you're a person like me that needs to like understand things and really just understand, I mean, this is the only way to know to pass the exam is to really understand it. It's not to memorize because you can't memorize all this stuff. I think it just get too mixed up because there's just too many muscles in so many different areas. It's hard to just memorize that stuff. You really have to picture the muscle and know what's going on in order to answer these questions or to understand these topics. So the first one, like I said, is it's the foundation of the NASM. It's the OPT model. You have to know the OPT model. It's essential. Like, you just have to know it, like everything. Sets, reps, intensity, the heart rate range, tempo. Yeah, all that stuff. Gotta know that stuff. Because there's definitely questions on it, and they ask certain ways, like, what stage of the OPT model is this person in this heart rate range or something like that? Or what's the heart rate range for this, phase or whatever it may be. Not necessarily asked phase, but that's one of the like quiz questions that you'll see. Not necessarily a test question. They just ask it differently. So you gotta know the OPT model. I struggled with that. The phases, and then every time you just look up more stuff, you find more information on the same topic, and you're like, man, how can there be more stuff on Jesus, like the OPT model? Like, okay, here's my OPT model notes. Like phases 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? Here's my original OPT model that I wrote in my first notebook, my first time around, like before I rewrote everything, right? All this stuff. And I narrowed it down to one whole entire page because I kept finding more and more information. The second time I wrote it, I made sure to leave like plenty of space because I knew there was gonna be more information. So much information on the OPT model. So yeah, gotta know that. I just lost my page, but there it is. Super important. The overhead squat assessment. Ugh. My next least favorite thing to know was, actually no, my first least favorite thing to know was the overhead squat assessment. I mean, obviously, it's what everything's based off of, like being a personal trainer. It's, but man, that was tough. It was tough. Again, I just had a hard time figuring things out and learning it, but I eventually got it. But you gotta know that. You gotta know it. Like, there's no way around it. You can't even know part of it. You have to know all of it. Like, there's a couple of muscles in there that aren't on the quiz or whatever, but the main ones are on it. But I was watching one of these YouTube videos from somebody, and I gotta thank you. I forgot who you were, sorry. I could go back in my YouTube history, but like, I can't right now. They made a list of muscles that are pretty much always overactive. Now, you can't quote me on that. It's like, I said pretty much, so I'm covered. Like the gastrocnemius. That's a muscle that's always typically overactive. So you can kind of put that one in a category. Bicep femoralis, like, or femoris, sorry. Like that one is like always overactive. There's a list, there's a small list. Just scroll through some of the YouTube videos. If it helps, it's a girl that was doing it, brown hair. Can't remember her name. Sorry. But yes, like the TFL, that's another one that's kind of always overactive, you know. The adductor complex, that's another one. And then they also made a list of like, for ones that are underactive, like the glutes are typically underactive. The rhomboids and the traps are typically underactive. The mid traps, the mid upper traps, not all traps. But again, just, you know, look for the list. There's more than one person that says it out there. They do have a list out there. Write it down. That kind of helps you get a little basic ones kind of like memorized into a category, just so then you can learn them. Like I said, every time I picture the muscles, I know where they are in the body, I know what they're doing, like, and I picture the motion, I picture the muscle moving, like, I was in the exam room, like, doing stuff, like, whatever, like, who cares, like, the arms go down, like, who cares, like, there's other people in the exam room taking other tests, it really doesn't matter, not everyone's, like, doing actions, but that would be funny. Anyway, the push-pull assessment, that's kind of an easy one to learn a little bit, like, the way I studied a little bit was, like, I would write down something complicated, like the overhead squat assessment. And there's a topic in here called the SMART model. I'll just cover that one right now. You got to know the SMART model. I would write down a overhead squat assignment, and that's like a lot to know. So I'd write down the first time. Like my second notebook I was taking, like I said, like I made this one first. I went through everything. I went through all the domains in this right here. Then I went back over it again. Oh yeah, in 8 days. I called into. I worked 3 12-hour shifts. I worked my 2 days, and then I called in 1 day during the week, so it gave me like 5 or 6 straight days off. So yes, I rewrote my notebook again. I went through the packets and rewrote stuff, and stuff like that. So anyway, push-pull model, gotta know that. Our assessment, gotta know that. So, oh yeah, like I was saying, like I went somewhat complicated, and then I would write down something like the SMART model, where it's not as complicated. That's like an acronym to remember stuff. Like there's a certain thing with the SMART model. It's kind of simple, whatever. So that's how I did it. I went back and forth between one difficult and then one easy, per se, easy, but not really, you know, like stuff like that. That's, again, my second notebook that I was rewriting. That's how I found to kind of work for me for the second time. Some CPR stuff, you gotta know that, like resting heart rate, and some breathing, something about breathing muscles, that's in there, like, you gotta know that stuff. New clients and how you should start them, like where you're gonna start them, like, or whatever. Client population, obese, no, that's not on there. I was thinking of the measurements. I don't even think that's on there. But pregnant, the elder clientele, and like a hypertension client. SMART model, like I said, the change model, gotta know that one. Pre-contemplation, contemplation, stuff like that. They'll ask you like, what stage is this person in, or what stage is that person in? You gotta know that. A little bit stuff about like nutrients, like how many calories does 1 gram of this, give you, or whatever, or something like that. I wasn't really sure. I pretty much was just like, and then went to the next one. I had no idea. Like, that's just something I was just like, I wanted to take up brain space with the muscle stuff because I knew a lot of muscle stuff was going to be on there. That's just what it is. So yeah. Professional guidelines. I don't know if I already mentioned that I did not read chapters 19 and 20 or 20. I think there's 22. I'm not really sure. But the last 2 or 3 chapters I didn't read. And professional guidelines is one of those. But the good thing is when you print out these domains, it's in there. Like, you don't really have to, like I said, you don't have to read the chapters. You eventually take so many notes and look up stuff that you eventually cover the whole book anyways, just in a different manner. I am not sure if I mentioned it. Yeah. Professional guidelines. Stretching. Oh, God. Dynamic stretching, static stretching. Obviously, like, again, it's what we're doing. We're helping people stretch and da-da-da. Like, I get it. But, like, now I know it, obviously, so I'm fine. But knowing it, God. When I was in the room, like, every stretch was the same to me. I was like, I felt like my brain was just going in circles, like, dynamic stretching, static stretching. Like, I know, but my myofascial release is always on there. Gotta know that one. That's a good one to know. That's in there. how long to hold it, 30 seconds, obviously, that's in there. The runner's question about the potato, that's in there. That's a great one. I knew I got one right, and that was a potato one for sure. Because that's on every quiz and every test. Just going stretching. Oh yeah, so at the end of each domain, obviously you have those quizzes. You can take them as many times as you want. Obviously, not that the grade really matters, but it gives you an idea like if you're progressing or not. Yeah, whatever. Upper or lower cross syndrome. Gotta know that, obviously. Just whatever. Gotta know it. It's just, but in relation to overhead squat syndrome, like they kind of go in conjunction, obviously, with the arching of the back and stuff like that. So you can kind of put those two together. So if you know one, arching of the back, with the overhead squat assessment, you kind of know the lower cross syndrome and then upper cross syndrome as well. And then feet pronation, that's kind of like a given, like, because again, it's all in there like a couple times. So I don't remember. I think I mentioned the population. So anyway, so yeah, so basically I studied for 8 days straight, like just constantly. I took breaks, obviously. Like I'm not just an idiot, just study straight through, because at some point you just stop soaking in information. And I had 2 kids, 2 and 5 years old. Whew. Man, it was rough. It was rough because really, like back when I went to school for a respiratory therapist, I didn't have any kids, and now I have 2 and 2 cats that are crazy. Crazy. My 2-year-old's crazy too. Anyway. So yeah, there's a lot going on, but I managed to get through it. I found, actually, so people mentioned in these videos, they mentioned these practice exams, and I never really found them until I think 24 hours ago, yesterday morning. I was like, end of course. I wonder what that is, because I was never at the end of the course, so I never really opened that tab. So lo and behold, scroll down a little bit, and there are 3 practice exams. It's a timer for 2 hours. It's 120 questions, just like the exam, and you go through them. So I didn't really know about them until 24 hours ago, which actually was kind of a good thing for me, and I'll explain to you why. I kept going through these. I went through these domains several times. I took the quizzes at least 7 to 10 times each domain, and I kept getting better. I'd write down the questions I didn't know, like that I got wrong. I'd look them up in the book. I would look up things online. YouTube is a huge help for exercises, in Google Image or whatever you want to use. Image was great. But so yeah, I kept taking all these domain exams, and I was like, man, is this it? Like, this is the only thing I can do? Like, I don't even know. Like, I didn't buy any extra exams or whatever, like online or whatever. I did do the CPT Pocket Palette, whatever it was. But I mean, really, like, I sit on my phone, like, or like I did it a little bit, like at night sometimes on my iPad. So like, yeah, I guess so. But man, I was just like, man, is this it? Like, I can't believe that I just kept taking them. Like I said, kept taking notes. And then 24 hours ago, I found the practice exams. I was like, this is what people are talking about. Like, like, all right. So yesterday morning, I took the practice exam 1. Now, the reason why I said it was good news that I just found them at the last minute is because, like, I was interested to see how I was going to do. Like, after studying, like, all that without really taking one of those, even knowing about them, I want to see how I was going to place. Like, when I first signed up, the people when I was talking to, when I was buying the exam or the course or whatever, they said, if you're passing the exams, like, you're typically just going to pass the test, because you know the information. So my first test, I think I got like a 76. It's not stellar, but this is gonna sound really stupid, but I've gotten C's like my whole life. I've never was like an A or a B student, like, ever, except for like my last year in respiratory school. Then I was like an A student, but like only because like it was hands-on work. I was in the hospital, like, doing stuff, but learning, I was never, like, in school, I was never like a B, A student. It's like whatever. Anyway, so then I did exam 2. Now, with each question that I got wrong, I wrote it down and then I looked it up. Like, I had to. I wrote down the question, I wrote down the answer, and like if I didn't understand a word in that sentence or whatever, I looked it up and just understood, like, why. Like, because I need to know why. Like, that's how my brain works. So then I did practice exam 2, and I got like a 74. And I was like, all right, like, this seems okay. Like, I don't know. And then that was like with my kids were around. Like, I don't know how I did it. I just somehow zoned in and did it, but I probably could have done a little bit better because I know there's a couple questions in there that if I just read the right words correctly, I probably would have gotten those right, just because I was like, I took it and I was like, got the wrong answer. I was like, I just didn't read it right, you know? I read what I wanted to read, not what it actually said. So, and then my exam 3, after I took 2 exams, wrote down all those questions, like, I mean, how many questions can you really ask? Now I've taken 240 questions, like, and all those domains and all those chapter exams. Like, how many questions can you possibly come up with at this point in time that I haven't already seen, like, or whatever, been exposed to, I should say. So exam 3, as I expected, like I got an 86. Like, and that's a little cocky to say, but again, I've seen so many questions at this point in time. Each domain I've taken 7 to 10 times. Each module quiz I've taken easily twice or 3 times to make sure, like, there was I would typically get like a 70 or an 80 on those chapter exams, those 10 question ones, just because it's like they're short, you know, short bursts basically. So I would definitely, and if not, then I would, if I got a 60 on it or whatever, I'd go back through and take it again after I went and reread the chapter when I was just reading the book 5 months ago. So it did give me a good baseline to read the book. But if you were like, do I really have to read the book? It's like, no, you don't have to. You have the domains, but like, you're going to end up reading the book anyways, because you have to look up so much stuff. Like, you know, like, so if you're watching this video, it means you're like, man, I really want to figure out what to look up, like, or figure out what to study. The domains, and the domains basically make you look stuff up, which is fine. Like I said, you got to know it. You can't memorize it. Certain things you can kind of memorize into a category, like those, you know, the always overactive muscles. You can kind of put those in a section. You kind of know where to start. But again, you picture the muscle. You figure out what's going on. You see where it is, so you know what's going on. So you can, you know, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. That was it. Like, really, I just like I said, I want to make an updated one because I just took it today. It was it's December 7th, 2018. Took it at 8 a.m. I didn't sleep the night before. I was really nervous. I had to drive like an hour and a half away to take it. After I hit submit, I knew I got the potato question right, but like I could have gotten 20 questions right or 70 questions right or 70, who knows? Like I know I passed, but you know, 70 are graded, but like I hit submit and I went through it twice, and I did what you're never supposed to do, was change your answers. Like, but I found ones that were wrong, like straight up. Like they were just like, I was like, what am I doing? Like completely opposite end of the body, basically. I was just thinking, you know, I don't know what I was thinking. Obviously I wasn't, or I was trying to. But yeah, even on the second time through, I hit submit and I was like, we'll see what happens. But yeah, if you have any questions, whatever, you can like write a message or whatever, comment, or I guess what everyone says. This is my first like talking video. And I'll be glad to, you know, help you out or answer any questions, or I don't know, whatever. But good luck. It is difficult. Like I said, you get used to seeing the questions in a certain layout or asked a certain way, or you know, like you just get used to that. The exam mixes that question up, where the foundation of the question is still in there, but it's just like asked in a particular way. It's just like you're like, what is going on right now? Like what? You don't understand. Like, I don't know. It's tough, but the knowledge that you have, like, it's in there. You will make the right choice. Like, you know. I mean, I made some wrong ones, obviously, I found, but still. Yeah, just study. You gotta study. I did not get anything from the recordings that are in the domains. Oh my God, I could not listen to that. I tried. I really tried, but I could not get anything from that. He's like, the guy was like talking to the microphone, like his face, his like lips were right on it. It was just like really loud and I even put headphones on just to try to like make sure it got into my brain. Man, was it tough. But whatever. Domains, the quizzes. If you can, save the practice exams till you get through all those domains and get really good passing grades on the domains. Like like an 80 or more, like on the domains. Like once you get through all the domains and whatever, then take the practice exams. Like I thought it was pretty cool to figure out, like on my first one, like how much did I really know, doing 120 questions instead of 20 at a time, you know. But yeah, good luck. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can ask whatever. I'll definitely answer your questions if I can help you. That's it. All right, see you.